Chapter 15. As the science known by the name of osteopathy is accredited to me, I suppose I am the oldest osteopathic path now on earth. I also think I have given more attention to the study of the principles of this science than all persons now living combined. Being the head of this institution, it is my duty to impart to you the facts which I have obtained by practice and observation during 25 years in combating all kinds of diseases of this climate. Also, my observations in obstetrics and diseases of women, diseases of children, contagions such as measles, whooping cough, and on through the whole list, as well as the diseases of the 4 seasons of the year, believing that my observations will cover more than 100,000 in number. With this vast field of observation, I think I can tell how to treat and when to treat successfully, how to treat and when to treat unsuccessfully, just how much and how little force to apply, and what good or bad effects to expect by judicious or injudicious methods of treatment. I think I am prepared by experimental knowledge to instruct and caution the student of osteopathy every day he may work with me in the clinics from 1 to 3 years. There are some diseases, and very few, that will admit of 2 treatments a week, others once a week, and some once in 2 weeks. In fact, a great number of times should not be for a moment before the mind of the operator. He should be instructed to remember that the infinite exactness of work, when obtained, is what will yield the success sought, without regard to the number of times. When you know the difference between normal and abnormal, you have learned the all-absorbing first question that you must take your abnormal case to the normal, lay it down, and be satisfied to leave it. Never leave your case yourself until you have obtained such results. Thus, it is far better to familiarize your eye and hand with the normal before you can approach the abnormal intelligently. We want first on your shoulders a normal head with normal principles, then we can bring before your eyes an abnormal neck, an abnormal arm, spine, limbs, breast, and you can reason by comparison, because you have the normal as a foundation on which to build your comparison of the abnormal. The observations have taught me that, in cases of asthma for instance, to treat oftener than once a week or 2 weeks is a dangerous procedure, and betrays the ignorance of the would-be philosopher. Well posted by experience, I know whereof I speak on this subject, and if you wish to be a success in this science, I admonish you to give heed to some things which I know and I expect to exact at your hands. You should know the cause of a disease and be able to remove it. You should know the course of an artery, nerve, and vein. Before you take your hands off, should know that you have removed all obstructions to the nerve, vein, and artery, giving force and nourishment to the depleted locality. Use force enough to remove all obstructions. Be careful that you bruise none of the delicate parts, such as glands and membranes, because an ignorant head and a heavy hand may bruise a kidney, spleen, gall duct, omentum, or some of the lymphatics. Remember that you are not called to bruise by force any delicate organ, which you are liable to and will do if you have no judgment and simply go by force, and a great number of treatments. One judicious and wisely applied treatment once a week is enough for any case of liver disease. I do not say this that an ignorant paddling of the side on which the liver is located, and kneading the bowels like a bull would knead a haystack with its horns, is to be considered a treatment. An intelligent head will soon learn that a soft hand and a gentle move is the hand and head that get the desired results. When you are dealing with a diseased liver or any other part of the body, remember the highest officer in command is the artery of nourishment, which must be assisted by the nerve of motion and the vein of renovation. When these 3 principles are left in full control, and you know that you have done what is necessary for this purpose, then tell your patient, 1 week from today, I will examine and treat you again, at which time you will see that your work has not gotten out of shape, in order by false strains or otherwise. Then you are warranted to go further with your treatment, because the surrounding tissues and delicate fibers have had a chance to be relieved from dead and inactive fluids, and have taken on some nourishment. As the case progresses, you go on with the more extended treatment, ever having your eye fixed on the whole nutrient system, which can do but little good previous to renovation. Any washwoman understands the truth of this statement. She first washes the dirt out of the clothes, then applies the nutritious starch like a woman with good horse sense. When you have washed the body of all its dirt through the excretories, you are now ready for the starch of the arteries. There are but few hours now remaining of the 24 years I have devoted to the study of the machinery of human life to know when it is in normal condition. I began with the bone framework, with its ligamentous attachments, its preparations for and attachments of muscles, all organs, vessels, and divisions that take part in constructing bones, muscle, ligament, membrane, nerve, positive, negative, motor, sensory, involuntary, nutrient, and sympathetic, whose duties are to construct and move in selection of kinds and qualities to suit. The power to place wisely and with exactness, which the architect demands under the rigors of a foreman that receives nothing but perfection in constructing a temple, to receive in workmanlike order a dwelling place for the spirit man in such perfect running order that the indweller may be able to operate the machinery easily at all times, is evident. My study during all the years just spoken of has been to know what the machine is, where all the parts are placed, their uses, supports, actions, relations, separately and united, the whole with harmonious action when driven by the power of life at the command of God, who's given power to all elements of force that exist beneath the great throne of minds, and from which reason is imparted to all beings who can and do have that wonderful quality. At this time I wish to drop further hunting for parts and details of the machinery, and place my telescope on a more elevated position for observations, in order to obtain more knowledge of the hows and whys of the workings of this product of the mind of the infinite. I feel that 25 years of constant study on the parts of man, separated and combined, has prepared me fairly well to enter the higher classes as a beginner, to study the active laws of life, to inquire into the hows and whys of the workings and failures of the whole being. In my study I began with the bones. I associated them in attachments by adhesive ligaments, which bind every bone to every other bone of the body, wisely formulated for all purposes and uses for which bone and substances were constructed. They receive and operate belts, straps, pulleys, aprons, and all of the necessary forms of the softer parts of this great machine, which is to be operated by the force known as animal life. We find two large and complete systems of vessels called the channels of blood, through which to and from a great reservoir containing the fluids are known as the rivers of life, whose duty is to convey material to all parts of the body without any omission whatever. We trace from this great tank to another fountain of supplies, which we call the machinery of nutrition. We behold the process from which crude material that this sustaining and containing blood is generated, prepared, and delivered to the heart, to be sent in all divisions and receive chemical qualifications to suit the indweller. Thus we hear the appellation, the blood of life, with exactness and perfection in all parts and principles, as the fiat and command of the great architect and builder of this machine. We must first acquaint ourselves with all its workings in the normal before we are prepared to comprehend or think intelligently of the meaning of the word abnormal, signifying confusion and imperfection in all that is known and meant by the words confuse, confound, derange, destroy, fail, stagnation, and death. Having completed the study of bones, the relations of one to all others in form, how beautifully they work, how nicely they are attached, and how well formed to receive attachments and insertions of all muscles and ligaments, nicely divided and spaced in such condition as to allow the blood vessels and nerves of all kinds to permeate and deliver all fluids of life and action in every minutiae of the common whole, we are lost in wonder and admiration. We are led to ask the question, on whom or what does this engine depend for its motive force, by which all this skilled work, seen in full motion, quietly, heroically, and with infinite exactness, hauling and delivering its nicely prepared elements to each and every station where construction must receive and blend without a murmur with the next motive force, whose duty is to keep all vessels, channels, and routes for all substances cleaned and purified by the invigorating powers of obstructed fluids as they flow over oil, smooth, lubricate, and water from the great systems of aqueducts, commonly known as lymphatics of bone, nerves, blood vessels, stomach, bowels, heart, liver, kidneys, and every known principle or vessel that contained any of the great and wisely prepared fluids of life, from the atom of conception to the completed child at birth, youth, man, woman, animals of the earth, fowls of the air, fish of the sea, earth itself, and all stars and worlds, and the angels that hover around the throne, all must have and cannot act without the highest known order of force, electricity, which submits to the voluntary and involuntary commands of life and mind by which worlds are driven and beings move. We are now in presence of the great question: what is the battery which drives blood to construct beings and maintain material forms to play their parts as worlds with life? Who understands the mathematical positions of space and maintain by so adjusting the motions and steps to keep in line and time to the music that is intended to be observed by carefully thinking of the harmony required in moving that great army